This is the TST R004 Electric Bike, and my honest first impression was that it looks and feels more like a compact moto than a typical e-bike. The frame has that retro moped vibe, the 20x4 fat tires fill the stance, and the overall build comes across solid and purposeful. I had a few doubts before riding it, mainly about the weight, the stock brakes, and whether the range claims would hold up, but after putting real miles on it across city streets, bike paths, and a couple of gritty service roads, I have a pretty clear picture of where it shines and where you'll want to tweak. Key features that stood out to me are the 750-watt motor with a 1500-watt peak, a 48V15R removable UL-certified battery, dual suspension, mechanical disc brakes, a Shimano 7-speed with a twist shifter, and that simple, legible LCD display. On paper, it promises up to 28 miles per hour and 60 miles in pedal assist. From my experience, the spirit of those numbers checks out as long as you understand how conditions and riding style affect them. Power first. The motor is punchy, torque delivery is immediate off the line, and the throttle response is crisp without feeling twitchy. On flat ground, I consistently saw 27 to 28 miles per hour indicated. On a mild decline, I crept into the low 30s, which felt controlled and stable. Hill work is where the 90 Nm torque shows up. I used a local climb that sits around 12 to 14% in sections. The R004 powered up it in PAS5 and with throttle assist without drama. It will slow if you're trying to throttle only up long, steep grades, but you can nudge the gears and cadence to keep the motor in a happier part of its power band. For folks new to e-bikes, PAS pedal assist means the motor adds power as you pedal, and you choose how strong that boost is. Throttle only means you can ride without pedaling, which is fun but uses more battery. Range depends heavily on rider weight, terrain, speed, and how much you use the throttle. I'm about average weight and logged a 48-mile urban loop using PAS 2 to 3, with rolling terrain and a steady 15 to 20 miles per hour pace. On a throttle-heavy afternoon that included some headwinds and rougher surfaces, I got about 34 miles before I decided to top up. In my opinion, the stated 50 to 60 miles in PAS and roughly 40 miles on throttle are achievable if you ride smoothly and keep pressures and drivetrain dialed. Charging from roughly 10% back to full took me a little over 6 hours with the stock charger. The removable battery is convenient. I like that it's UL certified and has a locking mount, and I've had no issues with weather splashes thanks to the sealed case. Ride comfort is very fat bike plus suspension. The 4-inch tires at moderate pressures soak up chatter, and the dual suspension helps when you hit joints, potholes, or compacted dirt. The front fork feels fine out of the box. The rear shock is on the firm side, especially if you're in the lighter to average rider range. I backed off preload to get more compliance, which helped, but if you're sensitive to harshness on bumpy routes, you might consider an aftermarket rear shock later. The flip side is the bike stays composed at higher speeds and with extra cargo. It doesn't wallow, and it tracks straight. Braking is mechanical disc, and I'll be direct. They stop the bike, but they need more attention than hydraulics. My set bedded in after a couple of rides and improved, but I needed to tweak cable tension and center the calipers to cut rotor rub. If you ride fast and heavy, plan on regular cable adjustments and pad checks. I'm considering a hydraulic upgrade down the road, though I've kept the stock setup safe and predictable with maintenance. For new riders, mechanical means the lever pulls a cable to squeeze the brake. Hydraulic uses fluid pressure and usually has stronger, more consistent feel with less hand effort. Handling is stable and confidence forward. The small 20-inch wheel diameter helps the motor feel torquier at the tire, and the fat profile adds grip and float on loose stuff. You do feel the rolling resistance compared to a skinny commuter tire, and it's not a nimble climber over big curbs like a 29er mountain bike, but on broken pavement, gravel, and wet patches, it gives you that planted, sure-footed feel. The 7-speed drivetrain does its job. The twist shifter is easy to use with gloves. Just ease off the power a touch when shifting under load to avoid clunky gear engagement. Build quality surprised me for this price bracket. The welded joints look clean, the paint finish is even, and the loom routing is tidy. The frame doesn't flex in weird ways under acceleration or when quartering hard. I also tested the lights at night. The headlight is bright enough for neighborhood and city use, and the rear light is visible and does what it should. I do wish the display had a slightly higher contrast in direct noon sun, but I can still read speed, battery, and PAS level without squinting. Assembly took me about 45 minutes at a steady pace. It arrives mostly assembled, but I had to fuss a bit with the headlight bracket alignment and dial in the front wheel and brake. If you've never assembled a bike, budget time to follow the video and keep a multi-tool on hand. Check every bolt once you're done. Bars, stem, axle nuts, seat hardware, and don't forget to seat the tire beads and set appropriate pressures. The listed weight is about 66 pounds, and you feel that when you lift it. I can roll it up a short flight of steps, but I wouldn't want to carry it far. The upside of that heft is a planted, quiet ride and a serious 450-pound max load rating, which is great for bigger riders or people hauling gear. From my experience, this bike fits riders who want strong acceleration, comfortable stability, and everyday reliability more than featherweight finesse. It's perfect for urban commuters who want power on tap, students and delivery riders who value range and a removable battery, and weekend explorers who hit gravel paths or sand without stressing over flats and frame flex. I'd recommend this for anyone who is okay doing a little basic maintenance, checking brake cables, keeping the chain lubed, and watching tire pressure to get the most out of it. If you need to carry it upstairs daily, or you're particular about brake feel with minimal upkeep, plan your setup accordingly, or consider a brake upgrade. In my opinion, the value proposition is strong because the core package, the motor, battery, frame, and suspension, delivers where it counts. The compromises are clear and manageable. Mechanical brakes need attention, the rear shock skews firm, and the bike is heavy to lift. What you get in return is quick, torque-rich acceleration, a real-world range that covers most daily use on a single charge, and a sturdy chassis that doesn't feel cheap. The LCD interface is straightforward. The 7-speed helps you meter the motor well, and the lighting and fenders make it commuter-friendly out of the box. In conclusion, the TST R004 is a powerful, confidence-inspiring fat tire e-bike that nails the fundamentals. If you want something that looks tough, rides steady at speed, and goes far without fuss, this checks a lot of boxes. Treat the brakes with respect. Consider tuning the rear shock to your weight, and you'll have a dependable ride that's fun and practical. If local rules set speed limits for Class 3 bikes, follow them and ride responsibly. If this video helped, please subscribe and drop your questions or your own experience in the comments so we can compare notes. Thank you for watching.